Thank you very much. And let me say this before I start. Two things, and then I'll just get to the speech. Many years ago, somebody invited me who was trying to sell a land to me. And driving down here just took my mind back to that particular day. Indeed, the gentleman took me to the other side of this hill to offer me the land. And I remember the feeling. In my head, I was telling myself that this guy is a very wicked guy. I thought I wanted a land which was close to Accra, because that was where civilization was. I saw forest on my left, forest on my right. Down there was even scarier. Then he said to me that, but very soon, Ashesi University will be having their football stadium here. That didn't convince me. That was the last time I visited this area. I ran away. Now, coming back and seeing the transformation, now I want to go and look for the guy. Secondly, when I had my invitation, it took me a while to respond. Now, the reason I delayed was that I was trying to find excuses and reasons why I should not come. And the only reason I was trying to find excuses and the delay was that I actually thought it was a mistake. Patrick, I actually believed that it was someone else who was meant to be the commencement speaker. Because the questions I kept asking about, who am I? I'm just another media man just making noise every morning. So Patrick called me and said to me that, well, we are waiting to hear from you. And I said, Patrick, I will do it. I'll do it. I didn't say anything sensible, but I said, I'll do it. And then the reality started coming back to me. Commencement. Jesus Christ. In our day, we didn't know what commencement was. I mean, all we knew was that, Charlie, we're done with school and just check out of campus for others to come in. Let me thank the president, the board of governors, the students, the parents, and the entire leadership of Ashesi University, indeed, for inviting me to speak at this occasion. Like I said, my initial thoughts when I received this invitation actually felt like a contradiction with the theme. Because we had gone through all our education in Ghana, cultured with what we used to call our day, which actually signified the end of all the struggles, our tribulations, and the challenges that we endured during the school term. And therefore, when you were done with the term, you were given something called a terminal report. It's ended. But this occasion, although it marks the successful completion of our university life, it's also the beginning of a new journey. Now, at some point, I am sure I'll be sounding like Mr. Kwakupo, because he said half of everything I'm going to say. So thank you for doing a good job. Let me also be quick to disappoint you. Now, the completion here only refers to the completion of the days spent on the campus of Ashesi, and not the end of being a student. Life itself is going to throw a lot of complex lessons at you as you progress. And it's not only those who carry on, and it's for only those who carry on with a student learning attitude who will be able to locate their opportunities. At this point, let me be quick to congratulate the Ashesi class of 2019. I'm a good student after all. For going through your various programs successfully. I also want to congratulate the faculty of lecturers who have instructed the students throughout their years at Ashesi University. And just maybe a good time to congratulate our parents and guardians who made it possible for our students to even gain entry into this university in the first place, the financial support, emotional support. Now, these parents indeed deserve our commendation. From the very first day they dropped off the awards in this Ashesi location in Brekusu, a name which I believe some of you parents may have had to Google a number of times before convincing yourselves that it existed. Brekusu. You dropped off your awards amidst uncertainties, anxieties, only believing in the promise of Ashesi University, driving back to your empty homes, surviving the lonely moments that the departure of your children had created. What an extraordinary sacrifice on the part of our parents. Now, my main mission here, my dear students, is to give you a charge that will help you navigate the course of your next journey. The next journey which you commence today. Even in physical journeys, one must necessarily have an idea of their destination in order to chart their paths effectively. I'm here to encourage you and also give you an idea of the realities that lie ahead of you. I must say that there are some real complex situations ahead, as real life would have it. Convenience and comfort may have been common to you, but you better make peace with inconvenience and discomfort now. The reality is that we have made acquaintances while on campus. We have made new friends. We have established new relationships that have now become almost family. We should not, however, forget the fact that we walked into this campus as individuals. And today, even though we graduate as a class, we walk away from here as individuals. In your reflective moments, there are questions that will keep coming back to you. They'll be flooding you like Kakai. Questions like, where do I go from here? What does the future hold for me? How am I going to survive this unfriendly, unemployment-dominated labor market? Now, if you find yourself asking some of these questions, just know you are not alone. Because many years ago, when I walked out of campus KNUST, I asked myself all these questions and even some more. We left campus with the feeling that the future was actually light years away. But we were soon to realize that our tomorrow apparently was only 24 hours away. The future had already started. Your future has just begun. And if you're a Ghanaian, this is a good time to say happy commencement, as we say with all our occasions. Now here, happy new month, happy new day. So happy commencement. We looked into the future with a high degree of uncertainty, and we lived one day at a time, being victims of what the day had to offer. But as for me, I believed God. I believed God that one day things would turn around, that my labor would not be in vain. Coming out of school, we were expected to do our national service. And I was fortunate enough to do my national service at an institution which is known to many people, the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. But at this point, having graduated in computer science with all theory and no practice, I did not have enough to give me the required experience in industry. So while I was doing my service, I managed to get employed alongside at an IT company. So managed to combine the tasks of being a national service person and also working secretly, I must say. And this gave me a smooth entry into my first job with ICL Computers. With all my experiences that I garnered in my first part of my career journey, one lesson that stood out for me is one's ability to know who you are and what comes naturally to you. Now, knowing who you are will give you a wholesome sense of identity. Now, what makes you uncomfortable as a person? What do you find funny? In our society, too many people find things funny only because others find them funny. But no, you have to know who you are, and when you know who you are, you will learn to love yourself. And I'm talking about loving your good self, your not so good self, and your ugly self. If you get this right, nobody will succeed at throwing empty love proposals at you. And I hear an amen from the young ladies. Learn to do the things that give you fulfillment, the things that make you love yourself more, the things that help you to know yourself more. These things and more will help you walk into your purpose. And speaking of purpose, it sounds so much like a cliche which you hear in most commencement speeches, of course. But in my world, I don't believe that purpose is something that has to be manufactured. With the knowing that God created each one of us for a purpose. Our duty is therefore to find that purpose. But it's not enough to find your purpose, because after finding your purpose, you would need people around you, and purpose will achieve more if you are able to create a higher sense of purpose or a sense of higher purpose within your immediate community. And this is how you can get the necessary support from your friends and family. Because of the cliched nature of commencement speeches, I thought that I'll let you know some of these things through my personal experiences. Now, I happen to be very active in extracurricular activities while on campus. And this is what exposed me to other capabilities and talents that I had, which were not manifested in my academic journey. I spent a lot of time working with Queen's Hall leadership. Queen's Hall is actually a hall in the KNUST, those of you who don't know. And I was also very active with the Faculty Students Association. I spent a whole lot of time with a student association called ISEC. And this is a part of my life that I speak about with great nostalgia. So it is the sum total of all my encounters in school, all my encounters with the faculty associations, my community of friends in my hall, my encounters with ISEC, which really gave me an idea of who I really was. And this idea of my identity came in handy in my early years of my career. I mentioned to you that I was a computer science student, but let me admit that I was very bad at programming. I just couldn't sit at one place. And you know what programming requires, right? One of the computer science students, you will sit down hours on end. I couldn't sit. I always wanted to move. Although my first job required knowledge of programming, it also offered opportunities that went beyond the knowledge of mere programming, which I quickly grasped, like marketing, customer service, sales. Although it wasn't such a well-paying job, I was determined to solidify my standing in the small foothold that I had been presented with. My dear graduates, one thing I learned early is that we all have different timelines in life, and different opportunities come to us at different times. I also believe that everyone here has a unique story and therefore a unique future. But in this journey, you are going to have some smooth runs, some real successes, some tough moments, some really difficult times, and some failures. You had your own expectations when you came to Ashesi. You've had different experiences, different turns and fears, which you mostly have had to overcome. Indeed, there is now a part of your life that is behind you. And for the rest of your life, you are going to talk about some of your experience you have had here at Ashesi, some with excitement, some with some degree of trepidation, and some with nostalgia. But it's important for me at this stage to mention that this stage of your life and how far you have come is indeed the easiest of your encounters yet. I hope I didn't scare you. Some of you have excelled in your courses that have been at the center of your heart. You really, really wanted to do these courses. We hear the engineering students, the MIS students, the administration students, the computer science. You really wanted these courses. There are also some of you who chose your courses because you were just good at them. And there are others who had no choice but to do what the school offered them. I was one of them. I had no clue what computer science was when I was entering KNUST. I wanted to do pharmacy, I didn't get, and they said, look, we can help you with computer science. I said, yes, sir. There are still those of you who had to do courses because your parents had instructed. Guess what? The real world requires more than all these categories that I've mentioned. And to those parents who force their children into courses which they ordinarily wouldn't have done, I want to humbly suggest to you that it's time to come and collect the certificates on their behalf. For this is what you have done. Now, don't get me wrong. You will need all the knowledge that you have acquired from Ashesi University, whether you intended to do the course or not. Indeed, when I was doing computer science, one of my worst courses was operations research. I didn't know where that thing was taking me. And I didn't encounter it in my work life. In fact, I kept asking myself on a daily basis, why that course? Reorder level, maximization, minimization, optimization. Oh, I said, what is that? Guess what? When I checked into University of Leicester for my master's program, in the entire class, I was the only person who knew stuff about operations, research, and management. Hooray! So yes, you did it. You didn't like it, but hey, there are lessons there. But in order for you to be outstanding in your career, you would need to combine your knowledge with all the skills that you have acquired here on campus, the values that have been passed on to you, the positive attributes that are associated with this university, and the leadership lessons that you have learned. And I know you've learned a lot of those. There's one big thing that I do not want you to take for granted, and that is the friends that you have made. You realize very quickly that the world is about networking, and therefore building value-laden relationships in an environment like this gives you a head start in this world of networking and relationships. Standing before you here, I'll be the first to say I have been a 200% beneficiary of networking and relationships building. Indeed, it's through my commitment to relationships building that gave me my entry into the media. I was only recommended by my late friend and Queen's Hall mate, Mr. Daniel Chum Jr. of blessed memory, who's the founder of the advertising agency Originate. May his soul rest in peace. He recommended me to be a part of a startup radio station in 1995, where I ended up working for 5-6 years of my life. The radio station, which now has grown to become multimedia broadcasting networks. Through the power of relationships building, my friend, Dr. Attah-Mensah, just offered to pay my admissions fee without any charge to me, just to help me enter University of Leicester where I had my master's degree. Again, through the power of relationships building, my brother and friend, Mr. Steve Mawenyega, created an opportunity for me to be employed by Coca-Cola West Africa in the year 2002. Is that all? No, just hear this. Through the power of relationships, my friend by the name of Paul Adomotri invited me to be part of another startup radio station, which is City FM, in the year 2004. And the rest, they say, is history. Ashesi University, you have just produced another set of game changers. A new generation of thinkers. And ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to have you come do the job of rebuilding our country, Ghana, and rebuilding our continent, Africa. Like I said, your future has just begun. But don't be entrapped in the failures of the generations that have gone ahead of you. It's time for you to rewrite the Ghana story, regardless of the challenges. It's time for you to rewrite the African story, despite the daunting challenges. Ashesi University has given you what it takes, because we all know where this university stands in the league of the world's universities. True? For me, I had all my relevant education in Ghana. Yes, all in Ghana. For the first 6 years of my basic education, I changed schools 6 times, making it 1 year, 1 school. Indeed, I was ahead of 1D, 1F. Apologies to our president. And as you heard, I ended up at KNUST which was good for my time. But I believe Ashesi provides solutions to a good number of the problems that have plagued us over the years. I pray you don't come out of this bastion of excellence only to join the polarized, binary thinking African societies, where we have created thinking and opinion camps that are literally opposed to each other in the name of political parties. Those who have not focused on the real agenda of developing our nations, but just preserving our forms and the status quo. Development has become a zero-sum game for these actors who believe that Party A's successes should necessarily result in Party B's failures. I say a big no. We should not become our own enemies. And in this context, development should not be a zero-sum game. Why should we be more concerned about losing our elections than losing our communities? Why should we lose sleep over losing the elections than losing the very elements that put our societies and our countries together? What we see around us today in our communities, in our societies, in our countries, on our continent, are what they are as a result of the actions, the decisions, and the choices that were made by those ahead of us. But it's time, again, to write our own stories. It's time to create our own pathways. It's time to devise our own legacies. Your families are looking up to you. Your community is looking up to you. And your country is looking up to you. The world awaits you, my dear Ashesi grad ones. Go forth and shine. And I thank you once again.